Not surprised that I'm not surprised at all that Ryung opened with a little bit more aggression. That's not uncommon if you really got your ass kicked in game one. Sometimes what you want to do in game two is actually try to open up and do some damage. But if that doesn't work, it means you're probably going to be in even worse shape in game two later on.
Yeah.
Because you weren't going neck and neck. You weren't keeping up in the race of getting getting your tech up, getting the rest of these units up. So. Yeah, I mean, let's see how the rest of this goes. But already, I'd say a really bad start. And
this is even luckier. Like, he's going to be able to kill this SCV and delay the CC. Uses the grenade here to try to escape. He should lose both Reapers, but this is still a huge win. He sees that. He knows that Ryung is behind massively, so he wanted to know. This is always what you want to do when you're ahead in a mirror matchup like this, is try to scout after you get a huge win. Because then you could say, okay, he has to do something desperate. What's it going to be? In this case, it's a fast third CC. But he's just continuing the damage here now. He's going to get more SCVs. This game may just simply be over. When you get no damage on with 2 racks, you're dead. And that's it. I think this is game over, man.
Yeah,
this is GG.
We just saw Ryung actually shake his head. And I believe give an expletive.
GG.
Wow.
2-0. Very quick. Very one-sided.
Whoa, man.
Ryung is no longer
you know
sniper.
You know that famous scene where Muhammad Ali knocks that guy out and he's standing over him? Well, we just saw that happen, but with Hellions. That was like... That was just that. That's
the most important thing.
I'm not even warmed up yet. I'm not even totally in the zone yet for casting.
Like, the most important thing when you go for that 2 Reaper opening is that you gotta win the 2v2 trade. You have to at least get a positive trade. Because then when your 3rd and 4th Reaper show up, you can snowball that advantage. But if you have no edge like whatsoever after that, then he has more units because he has the defender's advantage. His units are coming out faster, closer.
This is why generally at the highest level of play, you do see both players macroing up, right? Yeah. Because if you make a few mistakes and try to pull a fast one on your opponent, it's just not going to work. We're going to go to a short break. When we come back, our only Zerg player playing against yet another Terran in tonight's group in the GSL Code S.
You're so bad for me and I know it. But here I am in your arms. And yeah, we're crying like a secret.
겨울을 이겨낸 봄꽃이 내게 말했다. 맑고 깨끗한 칠성 사이다.
짬뽕이네. 와, 맛있는 거. 근데 어디서 시킨 거요? 그거 시킨 거 아닌데. 어떻게 볶음 진짬뽕인데? 어떻게 볶음 진짬뽕? 볶음 뜬 짬뽕. 볶음 뜬 짬뽕. 와, 정말로 화끈하네. 볶음 진짬뽕 외에는 절대 현혹되지 마소.
나는 KT 기가 인터넷. 당신과 끊김없이 게임을 즐기죠. 어디서나 우린 함께해요. 어때요? 나랑 콜라보 하실래요? 당신의 KT.
메이플 스토리 2 신규 직업 스트라이커.
이거 좋은데?
답답할 때 마셔봐요 트로피카나. 상큼상큼 과일 듬뿍 스파클링.
리얼 프루트를 스파클링으로
과즙이 톡톡 쏜다. 트로피카나 스파클링.
메신저 혁신. 이런 실시간 라이브 움짤 기능은 지금 스노우웹에서밖에 없죠. 굉장히 많은 팬분들이 영상 메시지와 메신저를 보내주고 계십니다. 아프리카 원탑 역캠답게 이설이라고 메시지가 왔는데 길 가다 만나지 마라. 길 가다 만나지 마라고. 느낌 있죠? 리본 하나 찬 다음에 딸랑딸랑 고양이. 섹시합니다. 외쳐 스노우! 라마?
스타일? 상쾌하면 되는 거야. 상쾌함의 높이가 다르다. Stylish Sparkling Water 롯데 트래비.
네, 아프리카 TV와 함께하는 킹덤 스토리 연애의 신.
이거 사극을 찍는 것 같아요.
정말 안 어울립니다. 약간 왜소하고.
맞아. 위초고 삼국 대결.
장비! 나이스! 나이스!
나 심쿵했어.
17,800원. 와, 군주는 무릎을 꿇을 수 있어요. 아, 뭐야 이거 어떻게 먹은 건데? 저에게는 간호 장비 같은 존재입니다.
진짜 유익한 게임이니까 여러분들 진짜로 많이 해보셨으면 좋겠습니다.
모바일 게임을 넘어선 액션 RPG 히트. 양 팀이 이제 정해졌는데 그냥 대결하면 좀 재미가 없으니까요. 탈락. 서로 향해 쐈어요.
에이 큐피드.
큐피트야 뭐가?
이 정도라면 4분 때 마무리되나요? 자, 이거 3대1 뒤에 들어가는데요. 유저 전체에게 깃털 1000개를 선물로 드립니다.
타이밍이 지금인 것 같습니다.
그만한 게임이 지금 모바일 게임에는 없다고.
힘찬 행사로.
기가 IoT 헬스. 올레 TV 켜고 퍼팅하고 바이크 타고 체지방 체크까지 실감나게 재밌다. 기가 IoT 헬스. 김지원의 KT.
오호, 물로 지금 거의 뭐 수분을 그냥 갖다 들이붓는 것 같아요. 자, 바른 쪽과 안 바른 쪽입니다. 차에 보여드릴게요. 내가 발라봤는데 대표하네. 앞으로 그냥 나도 찍어 발라야 될 것 같아요. 잘 봐요. 자, 이렇게 깔끔하게 아래쪽만 다듬어도 선이 딱 살아있잖아요. 선 라인 자체가. 잠깐만. 이런 느낌이구나. 허허. 오늘 여러 가지 제품들 올리브영에서 제가 지금 제품을 받아서 사용을 해봤는데 굉장히 좋은 것 같아요. 올리브영 제품이 짱인 것 같습니다. 고맙습니다.
올리브영 플러스 유소나 예뻐져라 뷰티 방송. 홈쇼핑 아닙니다. 첫 뷰티 방송 시작하겠습니다. 달콤한 꽃에 겹겹이 둘러싸인 듯. 아 여러분, 이 모든 제품들은 올리브영에서 살 수 있습니다. 새로운 네일 아트로 사랑을 표현할게요. 감사합니다. 고맙습니다. 세상에.
You chose the wrong side.
나는 KT 기가 인터넷. 당신과 방송국을 만들죠. 어디서나 우린 함께해요. 어때요? 나랑 콜라보 하실래요? 당신의 KT.
우리 올리브영에서 드디어 루이조를 변화시키기 위해 우리 아프리카와 함께 루이조 변화시키기 대장정이 들어갔어요. 이게 스타일 옴브 제품입니다. 피부 밝아지는 것 같은데? 와, 이런 게 올리브영 클래스구나. 러마띠. 와우! 영국 스타일. 네, 멋있네. 나가면 번호 따일 것 같은데? 여기서 마무리할게요. 우리 제품은 올리브영 제품이었습니다.
미소가 생기다. 화사함이 생기다. 건강한 하루가 생기다. pH 8.0과 풍부한 미네랄로 핑크빛 생기가 생기다. 아이시스 8.0. 이제 모두 핑크하세요.
Welcome back to the GSL Codas. We had a really short best of 3. What time is it? It's 7:05. We go live at 6:30 here, and I think we have about 10 minutes of billing time. So that was like about as short of a best of 3 as you can really ask for.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, at this level of play,
I think the technical esports term for this kind of a series is a bop.
I believe you are correct on that.
We just had a bop.
I was totally thrown off by that. The game just ended. In that last game, Young tried to do a rush, and it got totally shut down. And then the other guy just has more units. He gets in there with the Hellions. Reapers can't really do that much to fight Hellions head on. They can't avoid the damage properly. So that's it. Ryung is in the loser's match. Dream is in the winner.
Yep.
Now we're going to go on to Alive versus Rogue.
And Alive, if you look at his most recent 5 matches, is actually 1-4. But that's because he played against incredibly good players. Like, he lost to Zest 1-2. Okay, he took a game off Zest, all right? So this is a player who is by far at the peak of his play. I mean, he's an IPL champion. He was really good in Wings of Liberty. He was getting top places at every GSL. But he was off his form for 2 years, and now he's back, and he looks stronger than ever.
Now, I think both these guys have had some ups and downs. We talked about this a little bit in the opening, but just to reiterate, you know, Rogue, he's been in great shape, especially in late 2015, and then throughout the past few months, he's had these big ups and big downs. He's beaten some great players in huge upsets, and then he's had days where he's just losing to people that I think a lot of people could agree he's not supposed to be losing to.
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of people are saying it's balanced, including the pro gamers themselves. This is his 7th consecutive GSL Code S, though, and that's very impressive for a player who kind of popped on the scene once Kespa arrived. That's a lot of Code S back-to-back. That means he is absolutely a top Zerg, no doubt about it. But Zergs aren't doing very well right now, Tasis.
No, they're not. This is our Zerg hope tonight. Can he get out of this group? By the way, Alive, very dominant at the start of Legacy of the Void. A lot of people were saying he's the best Terran out there. He had a lot of one-base aggression styles that I think slowly got phased out as people got a more clean approach to the early game. You know, whenever we have a new iteration of StarCraft, or to be frank, any RTS, it seems like the guys that are rushing tend to yield more good results. But then as time passes, it's usually the guys that are able to get away with fast expanding. And we're definitely in the fast expanding phase of Legacy of the Void in the meta.
Absolutely. First map is going to be Frozen Temple, guys. This 2-player map, so we could definitely see some aggro here from Alive. Remember, for Alive, this is the matchup he's prepared the least for compared to the TBT, but this is Rogue's only match to prepare for.
All right, guys, let's get ready. This is a best of 3 with Alive versus Rogue in match 2 of the GSL Codex. Our Terran player in the blue.
Africa Freaks, Alive.
And he's actually been around for like so long. Was he in GSL Season 1?
Yeah.
Like,
he was on FOU back then.
That's right. Alive FOU. Yeah, that's right. Over here in the upper left.
Jin Air Green Wings, Rogue.
This guy actually...
Look at that pose he has in that picture.
His nickname is Sexy Boy when he pulls it off.
I believe it.
Now, Rogue played at the very beginning of... Got to live through this is basically the idea here. The only
The
Zerg.
pressure's on.
Yeah. Rogue used to use the ID Savage for a while before he decided to finally settle on Rogue, but he was a good Castle player at the beginning of the switch, and now he finds himself on the arguably most successful right now team, Jin Air Green Wings, the defending champion of Round 2 of Pro League.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of pressure when you're on a team that's this good. Rogue definitely is contributing. I really do believe that if you have a good, solid team, that all the members have to be pretty sharp and on point. You know, even these weaker guys that you don't think much of, clearly they must be helpful in practice. And Jin Air right now is the best team. So I think Rogue probably contributes to this team a lot, but I'd say more so off camera than on. I have a question, Wolf. Am I being too hard on Rogue?
No, I don't think
he
so.
Really has had some
actually,
bumpy games.
I feel like Rogue has definitely had some bumpy games. His successes, I think if you could compare him to a player from another race, I would actually compare him to SOS. His successes usually come from really specific build orders and best of ones in Pro League, where he will beat a GSL champion like Zest and then beat him again in an ace match because he just knows how to play against Rogues, or rather against Zest's specific playstyle.
But the only difference between him and SOS, I mean, SOS is like a world champion 2-time. I mean, he can actually win in a best of 7. SOS also got out of his group. Rogue, on the other hand, not having a lot of, I guess, a lot less success overall than we expected.
Rogue is a player who seems to get fatigued in group stages.
Maybe anxious, I'm not sure. I mean, you know, there's so many different mindsets people can get. Some people, they feel like they can't focus. Others, they feel too nervous. Some people, I promise you this is true, they just go up there and they don't feel much of anything, and they are just able to do what they planned.
Yeah.
You know?
Rogue, I feel like he's always got his off days. But when he's on, he looks like if he could just ramp up his consistency, he would definitely be a top-tier player. I mean, he is a top-tier player, right? But I'm talking like top 4 player of an individual league. He has, you know, he's beaten Zest several times. In Pro League this year, just an interesting side about Rogue, he has never beaten a non-Zest Protoss. He's the only Protoss he's been able to beat, which he's done 3 times, is Zest. He's I believe he's 3-0 against Zest, but he's never beaten any other Protoss. It's like that's the kind of player Rogue is. He has these certain matchups, these certain moments, these moments of brilliance where he goes Swarm Hosts and ZVZ, and everyone's like, what is he doing? Why is he doing this? But he just can't ramp up the consistency. And you know, I think a lot of people are looking at this group and saying almost 50-50 Rogue gets out. And that's kind of right now how he is in the individual leagues. Is he having a good day or a bad day?
Yeah, I think you're totally correct. I mean, it does feel a little bit like a coin flip when you have to try to predict how well Rogue is going to do. Looks like the Overlord is going to come in here. Alive goes ahead and drives this out, but right now, Alive is going to have a good yardstick on where the tech is for, Rogue is going to have a good yardstick on the tech right now coming from Alive and knows how safe or not safe he is. We do have a Baneling's Nest being made here as well, and Alive is going to come out now with the drop.
Yep, and he's going to set up for a tank evac follow-up, as you guys can see. Actually getting a Viking first. Did not expect that. And the Baneling Nest coming up here for Rogue is just for extra safety. And he's continuing to try to get some additional information about what Alive is doing, how much he's committing to this aggression. There's going to be an 8 Marine drop with 4 Hellions. The Queens did get slightly buffed recently, so it's going to be a little bit easier for him to defend this than it would have been normally. Look at how much damage he put off on that medevac with that range buff. Pretty intense. But the medevac is now just going to reroute itself into the main base. He doesn't have any Banelings here, but he has enough Speedlings, I would say, with Queen support to clean this up. And he's going for a big counterattack. He could even morph a ton of Banes. I was thinking this was going to be a defensive Baneling Nest, but it doesn't look like it anymore.
Yeah, well, you know what? This is a pretty smart move here by Rogue. Now, I don't know if Alive's going to be ready for this. Although, you know, Alive's doing a good job harassing. It was definitely predictable that that was going to come in there and do that kind of damage, or attempt to do that kind of damage, which it did get away with.
Yeah.
But, you know, with this, he's going to actually just drop into the main. Okay, this is really interesting.
Yeah.
Is this Viking going to see this? Oh!
Just barely. Just barely
He sees it.
He needs to react.
He needs to load this up and go, 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 hustle, hustle.
Here he goes.
Hustle, 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 hustle,
hustle. I like your football coach impression.
Move, 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 move.
All right, looks
is he going to be able to empty that out in
He
time?
will. All of them. Every single one gets out. No Zergling left
Wow.
behind. And Alive will actually lose a tank here as well as several Marines, and he's going to lose SCVs.
Oh.
Meanwhile, he's harassing over here.
10 drones have been killed here so far. These guys both taking serious blows right at the start of this game.
Yeah, but I think this is a better trade for Alive overall. Once he cleans this up, his Hellions are still finding damage. There's no mining here in this main base.
Okay, can I just point out, it's weird. Have we had a Baneling made yet?
Not a single one.
Which is a bit strange, right?
I feel like he would have done a little bit more damage had he preempted that drop with some morphed Banelings.
That's what I was thinking. I mean, you would just assume that having a 1 or 2 Banelings in there to try to get the SCVs would be good, because eventually those SCVs did surround, and it was basically SCVs that won that fight. So he got in there and started killing units, but the real goal is to always kill the workers.
Yeah. I mean, he killed a siege tank. That's very valuable, but he lost all of his lings, which means now he has to spend larva to remake those, or else he might die to a follow-up push. One thing I will say he has made is a lot of queens. I think he has like 6 or more right now, so he's really beefed up the queen count, so he's going to have a little bit more defense up. His creep is already spreading out of control, as you guys can see on the minimap and on the production tab. Going into a lair now, but I think the trade was by far better for Alive. He's keeping an even worker count right now, and he got an efficient trade there against the Lings. The only thing he lost really was a siege tank, but he's going to have a follow-up push ready with Stim and combat shields. Like he's getting both of them right now. He's going to have 1-1. Rogue is just now starting his +1 attack. I think Alive is going to have a very tough follow-up push, and part of this may be decided whether or not Rogue has Baneling speed and enough Baneling setup to defend when that push hits. His creep spread definitely really good right now, and that's going to certainly slow down this push and give him a little bit more of a fighting chance against what Alive is about to throw at him.
All right, well, he's going to be coming out now and just securing this 3rd base. I think Rogue actually taking the 4th base up here at the top is probably a smarter move than trying to do anything aggressive to combat the 3rd base. Both sides are actually a little bit low on just about everything as far as offense goes. So just coming out here and taking that other base and just staying ahead of the Terran is probably the best way to go.
Yeah, you know, I'm so worried. Look at Alive is doubling the army supply nearly right now because of all the Lings that were traded there for a very small amount of damage. He's getting the Baneling speed immediately, which is so important. He will absolutely need that to defend any push that comes his way. I think what may save Rogue is his queen count and his creep spread, but he needs to buy more time. This drop will be shut down pretty easily, but again, it's going to be a positive trade for Alive, who does have the 1-1 upgrades. He's doing this without Stim. Rogue is feeding Lings to this drop. I mean, yes, he does defend it, but I think he should have had a queen over there helping out. Like, that shouldn't have happened like that.
You always want the queen to start hitting
the medevac,
because that's how you actually end the rush, is eventually the medevac either dies or it's too weak
for
it to be wise to do this.
He doesn't even care about the creep spread, and he's going to kill a ton of Overlords. Rogue cannot produce units. This game is basically over, Tasteless.
Oh, my God. All right, he's stimming. He's coming in here. This is a massacre. 14 drones going down. Now, it looks like Rogue's going to go ahead and try to get the queens over here. This is just so much damage.
He has no Banelings. Where are those Banelings are so late? Baneling speed wasn't done yet, and he lost too many Lings from that drop. It was just a tempo advantage Alive had after defending that drop. Scouting it with that Viking changed the game, and when he scouted it, he was prepared. It didn't do enough damage.
Yeah, I think another push coming up here, and I don't know if Ro can hang on. By the way, he just like walked through the creep area.
Yeah, he didn't even care.
I mean,
He
Zerg
scanned it
actually
and
saw
walked
that
through.
coming in there. I mean, that really shows the confidence that Alive has. But Alive has been a very in-your-face player in StarCraft 2, and he definitely, look at this, see, he just knows what to go ahead and hit. He doesn't go for the drones immediately. He instead goes for that Overlord, kills a Ling or two, picks up and backs off again.
Yep, and he's just maintaining double the army's place and loses medevac to all these queens. In fact, 7 queens right there. But he has such a large army, and so many drones were killed that Rogue has to really balance his larva. A very difficult thing to do right now. Alive doesn't even need a 4th base. He's gearing up. He's adding one in case he like has a backup plan, like as a secondary thought. But he's gonna have 2/2 first again, so he's again gonna have the upgrade advantage. Rogue should not have Ultras in time to deal with the follow-up push. Alive just added triple barracks with 3 reactors. I think those all just finished, so he's about to have even more marine production than he does now.
You know what I do wonder is Alive maybe dropping too much when he should just go in for a big push here?
I think you're right. I think you're on the money.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
but I think he's trying to gear it to land with that 2/2. So he's just kind of doing small harass, waiting for the follow-up. It's almost the calm before the storm right now.
Well, yeah, because once he has that 2/2, even with creep, even with some good Baneling connects, I think just knowing Alive's control, I think he will be able to get in there and do the damage he's got to do. Looks like that Viking was taken out.
Oh,
Supplies.
Look at this queen bait. He's bringing the queens over. Looks like there's too many units, though.
All right, he's going to have to pick up over here. There we go.
It's much harder to do this with the queen range now, to just kind of harass and then pick up. You can get punished for
Well,
that.
that's good. I think that's a good adjustment because for a long time, the Zerg would just get beat up on by the Terran. It was just Zerg constantly having to fight off everything the Terran could possibly do.
Yeah. This is one of those funny things with this matchup where when the Ling run by looks, the Korean commentators scream and stuff, but it's like, well, this isn't going to do that much damage, actually. Melee units are just not that good at run bys unless you have an overwhelming amount of them. And that was just like, Ling's lost here, trying to buy Rogue time. He's trying to buy time. 3 Ultras on the way.
Look at this. He's actually taking out this creep over here. When the Banelings come in, I assume he's going to pick up. Looks like he's preoccupied with some other stuff he's doing here on the map right now.
Yep.
The push over here in the top center is going to be triggered. Now, this is a lot of Banelings, guys.
This is a lot of Banelings.
There's a chance if this actually does connect properly.
And it's going to have +2 armor, you know? It looks like in 9 seconds here. He's not going to wait for it, though. Oh, and this is going to be such a good split here from Alive.
Oh, my God. That was so good.
Not even a single Baneling connects
There's about
here.
a dozen Banelings just being mowed down.
This should be game over. The Ultras come out to die. Bad spawn placement there. Just works out unlucky for him. And I think this is it for game number 1, Tasis.
Yeah, he's letting the Marauders in the front tank the damage. I think you can transfuse this Ultralisk all day. It's not going to be enough. The damage output is too high right now. Rogue just on the ropes. He just has to try to hang on. But I don't know if the melee attackers can deal with these gun-armed Marauders and Marines.
He has so much bio that he can't click his transfuse button fast enough to save the Ultras. I mean, it's just not even humanly possible for him to keep these alive with how much bio is here. No pun intended. Chitinous plating wasn't done, by the way, but he doesn't have time to wait for it or he dies. You know, he's just forced into this bad situation because Alive has a small advantage, and he takes it. It turns into just small harass, small harass, small harass. Does a good push, and then here's the follow-up push with all his extra barracks. 4th base is landed, but he never needed it, and this game is over.
Seems to be the case. What he's going to do here is he's going to pick up and drop in here. He can actually take out the Ultralisk Cavern and probably close this out with a follow-up push over here into the front. But for now, Zerg's going to have to try to take care of the main. And we see these Banelings. Nice job. Picks up there before those Banelings can connect. He might actually loop around here again.
Yep, the Ultralisk count has stabilized for a moment here. And he needs to remake that Ultralisk Cavern because that's really the only way he can come back in this game. The Ultralisk, right now, somewhat of a controversial unit amongst the StarCraft community, but a very powerful unit. And if you can keep them alive with transfuses, they become very cost efficient because they are expensive, but if they never die because you just keep using Queen energy to make sure they don't, then you could start to actually get positive trades and come back even while you're down in economy. And Rogue remakes his 4th base. Unfortunately, gets canceled immediately.
Continuing to kite back here, he picks up again.
You know, one thing I do want to really point out and praise in Rogue's play is he's spreading creep constantly.
Yeah,
like,
it's actually pretty godlike.
It's kind of scary.
How good his creep spread actually is, despite him being bullied around the map.
It's saving him really hard, you know?
Well, it's keeping him in the game. I don't know if it's going to fully save him here.
Yeah. It's definitely making it tougher for Alive because these Ultras are always on creep. despite the fact that he was able to kill a base, and he still wasn't able to clean his creep up. And I think Alive should actually be spending a lot more time. These units that we're looking at right here should be clearing creep right now. They're just standing here. They could be actually furthering his advantage, but he's spending all of his multitasking right now on this harassment here. And I think what you said earlier about just doing a big attack is kind of what I think Alive should be doing right now. And
that's the vibe I'm getting from it right now. Is if you look at the actual army supply and what the upgrades have been for periods in this game, I think if you just do a straight up push, you're okay.
Yeah, you split and you win.
But I also appreciate the fact that because it's ultra ling right now, and there, for instance, there's no mutas. I mean, there are corruptors coming, but there's nothing. There's no air to air just yet. Zerg really can't do much, but you know, try to catch up and try to be on top of these drops, which is pretty aggravating, I can imagine, for Rogue in this game right now.
Well, now that Rogue is getting closer and closer to max again, he's still down. Like, he's literally half the supply of Alive right now in army. But if he could just stabilize and get his army basically into pure ultras. I mean, he just got +2 for the ultras. He's going to have +3 armor for them in a second. He's got corruptors. They're going to kill 2 drops. Like, if Alive is playing sloppy like this and not finishing the game, then this is a game that, with ultraless tech, Rogue can come back and win.
Yeah, he needs to get those medevacs away and have them regroup with his army. This army right here. Is he going to do that? Are we going to see a stim?
Okay, he's going to fight off creep here. Ton of banelings coming down. The splitting here, a little bit lackluster, but he does back off. But all the ultras survive. There's queens to help transfuse, and this time there's corruptors in the sky. Here comes some reinforcements, though. Can he keep these ultras alive? He's trying his best.
No, I think he's actually he can just run from this all day long. Now he is going to be able to get the medevacs here. But let's see, can he actually keep these ultras alive? One goes down. There should be a second one, especially if he targets this correctly up here. Now the queens are going to be running out of energy pretty quickly here.
Yeah, but look at how much damage these ultras do. This is actually crazy. This is the embodiment of a tier 3 unit, the final tier of Zerg. He has even the supply. This is what I'm talking about. If ultras don't die, they become so cost efficient over time, and he's finally starting to get better upgrades. And then the corruptors are zoning out the medevacs. This should still be Alive's game, but damn, is Rogue making it hard for him to finish it.
Yeah, Rogue is making him work for this, but I think with the overextension of the queens and losing those ultras, I mean, he doesn't have enough bases to getting enough gas, I believe, to come back. I mean, you know, those ultras did drive back a good amount of the army. However, if you notice the link count's so low, the marauder count is so high.
Yeah.
I think this should be it.
This should be it.
I mean, but again, you know, the tenacity of Rogue here, just really able to just stay alive and stay in the game, despite all odds working against him.
I think Live is being almost too conservative with his micro. He's not targeting ultras, he's kiting back, which is forcing him to use a lot of stims.
Once the banelings are gone, it's okay, especially with the marauders, to target the ultras.
Yeah, just right click on them. You know? It's basically that simple. He's being so conservative though. He really wants this first win securely.
Okay, this army looking pretty daunting. Alive nearly maxed out now. And he stims. Now notice the Marauders are in the front.
Yep.
So the Banelings, even if they do connect, it's not that desirable of an exchange.
Okay, he needs to just fight this now. Finally, he does actually attack, and this should be it. The ultras are off creep. There's no queens. GG.
All right. Wow, you know, that was a really impressive game by Alive, but I got to say, Rogue did a pretty, put up a pretty valiant effort as far as like just staying in there.
Yeah.
I think if it was any other Zerg player, they would have had to tap out about 5 or 6 minutes ago.
I think Alive played almost too safe while ahead, though. He could have pushed harder. He could have pushed his advantages more. He could have been multitasking a little bit harder against the creep that Rogue was continuously making. Sometimes he was spreading creep in directions that I never thought would even matter in this game because he was going to be dead. But the fact that he continued to spread creep and Alive continued to not deny it meant that basically his ultras always had movement speed, no matter what, all the time. And, I mean, that's a big deal. So, we do see that we're going into Dust Towers for game number 2, so another long rush distance map. Could be a longer one, Tasteless.
That's right, Wolfie. Let's see what Rogue has in store for us on Dust Towers. It was a bumpy start, Alive managing to keep a lead for long enough that eventually he was able to close it out. Good luck, Rogue. The only Zerg in this group. No Zergs yet in the round of 16. A lot of people cheering for him, but Alive doesn't care about you. He wants to get out of this group.
Africa Freaks, Alive.
Alive saying, this is not my problem. There are no Zergs in the round of 16.
No,
I chose to play Terran. This is my destiny. Harry Potter glasses.
Yeah.
In the bottom right, in the red, he is.
Jin Air Green Wings, Rogue.
That's Rogue before he goes to the punk show.
That's right.
And his Jin Air jersey.
Rock and roll.
You know, I really love the Jin Air Green Wings jersey. I always have. Such a cool jersey.
The University of York, guys, thank you for coming down.
Rogue, the last hope.
He is the last hope.
We'll see if he can make it work.
The Zergs are going extinct, man. If Rogue loses this, we got to put him in a zoo, man. We're going to run out of Zergs in this world. We got to. This is going to be a big problem if we don't get any Zergs to go through to the round of 16.
There's just a Twitch stream with like the rarest pro gamers that are alive. Like,
that's right.
He's there with like the 2 professional random players.
That's right.
Like TLO.
And there's that one guy that still competes in Age of Empires. I'm like, listen, we need to keep all you people alive, all right?
There's a guy who played, what was the guy's name? He used to win like every online tournament in Warcraft 3. There was a guy in Korea who literally played in like every single weekly tournament of Warcraft 3 and like one every weekend for years.
Oh,
like,
I actually, was it Remind?
Remind, yeah.
Remind, yeah.
He's in there too. Like,
I actually saw Remind randomly in Korea like a couple of years ago. I just bumped into him. I'm like, Remind. And he was like, hey, man. I'm like, what are you doing here? He's like, I live around here. I'm like, cool, man. Are you still playing Warcraft 3? He's like, yeah, sometimes. I'm still winning money off that. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. The program I run into the most is C Shield. I've run him in Gangnam like multiple times. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm just going to get some coffee. I'm like, I keep running into you. This is kind of weird.
Like, you're just getting coffee like a normal person. These pro gamers are just like us. Well, Wolfimus Maximus.
Yes.
Castimus.
Yes.
Superius.
What is it? Tasticles.
Tasticles is my Roman name.
Please, I didn't mean to insult you.
If I'm evil, I'm Tastiphus. No, he's going for a quick Roach Warren.
Yep, it's pretty quick, and that means aggro. This Reaper's hunting for it, though.
Now, right now, Rogue's trying to like basically Mad Dog this Reaper.
Mad Dog.
Oh, he's Mad Dog. He's just don't come in. Don't come in my territory.
So
he's like, because if this Reaper gets in there and sees the Roach Warren, it's gonna be really bad. So he's being like super cautious to try to make this not worth the Reaper's while.
Oh my God, he still hasn't seen it. 6 roaches on the way already.
Now, guys, if Zerg doesn't do a ton of damage, I mean, ideally Zerg wants to win with this, but if Zerg doesn't at least do a ton of damage and kill workers, Terran can win again. Now, this is actually not the best map to do this on.
No, definitely not. It's one of the longest rust distances, so it's kind of an idea, I think, of that Alive won't expect it. He is so carefully trying to deny vision, and he does. This actually could end up working out, because Alive doesn't know this is coming. He still hasn't seen it. He's probably like, why are you so crazily hunting my Reaper? Something's up.
Yeah, to be honest, that could be a tell in of itself if he's like, what are you doing chasing my Reaper with Lings on the map?
He doesn't have very many units at home. But, you know, the longer this goes on, of course, the better it is. It's just the rush distance is so hard for this to work with. This is very similar to what we saw in game number 1. It's almost mirrored, or series number 1. We see like an outplay in game number 1, then a cheese basically attempt in game number 2. And we're seeing Rogue do just what Ryung did, an early push.
Look at this Reaper that thinks it's Neo from the Matrix over here. All right, get
here
ready.
We go.
He's going to go right.
He wants to time it with the Lings. He wants to open the wall so the Lings can come right in. He's got one Ravager with this as well. Goes down the reactor. That's going to cut the production as well.
And
here he goes.
He gets in.
There's a lot of Marines here. He needs to pull the SCVs. And
all right, here we go,
Rogue. Good dodge by Alive. He needs to use the SCVs, though, I feel. Why aren't they fighting?
Yeah, I don't know. I actually don't know what they're doing. They were supposed to be attacking a little bit sooner there. Now with the Wallen down, he's going to try to remake that reactor.
He's remaking it with the reactor.
Yeah, he's got to get something to block that off.
And the Bile's going to knock it down again. He's about to have medevacs, but he's not going to have enough units to fight with. I think this is actually just too much.
I think that's game. I think Rogue just cheesed him out.
The crowd goes wild. There's a lot of Zerg fans in the studio.
That's right.
He's got the Widowmine down, but not going to be a good hit. Gets only 4 Lings.
Actually, that's not bad, though.
GG.
Oh, yeah.
Rogue.
Oh, yeah.
Very
Zerg. Sick. All right.
Very careful execution of that. Chasing the Reaper. He wasn't able to kill it, but he tried his damnedest, and he kept it away from the roaches. He denied vision, and that's the most important thing, is hiding that information. That's what StarCraft 2 is all about. He has the ability to make a bunker, 2 bunkers, a tighter wall. He can pull his SCVs better. He can react better. If he has the advanced notice, the warning that this is coming, that's why you make a Reaper. You don't make a Reaper to kill drones. You make a Reaper to get information, and that information was denied. Very good, impressive execution there by Rogue. This is the kind of games we're talking about where he's got the idea, he's got the plan, the execution, everything comes together. And
Here's the problem, though, Wolf. This entire group is Terrans and this one Zerg Rogue. Now, I don't know if you can use that strategy again today, so he's going to probably have to win not just this series with something else, but for the rest of his matches if he wants to get out of this group. So introducing our players in the upper right in the blue, he is
Africa Freaks Alive.
with the fist pump.
Fist pump.
Fist pump.
He's probably pretty pumped after that rush. Getting a little bit angry, maybe.
Well, you know Alive's mindset in that game was like, oh my god, are you kidding me? In the upper left, in the red.
Jin Air Green Wings. Rogue.
Whoa. It's like the entire audience is cheering for him.
Yeah.
Alive's like, seriously, guys, I'm a human with dreams. Like, I also want to win this thing.
Yeah. Can we not make this about race?
Can we not make this about the race, guys?
These are 4 human beings.
These are 4
They
human
all
beings.
have feelings.
They all feel like, I want to win.
Just because the other 3 were born Terran doesn't mean
that's right
that you could bully them.
I didn't know what it was going to be like in 2016 for Terrans right now against Zerg. Well, you know, Rogue could still win. I don't think Rogue is necessarily the poster boy for Zerg. I think he's just the Zerg that is playing today.
Yeah.
Let's see, man. Let's see.
Well, these positions are pretty good for Alive. He can put that pressure on a lot better.
Yeah, he's got a lot of locations he can push at, and I think the 4th base for Zerg, if Rogue can expand away, that's good. But that's actually a pretty easy location for Alive to try to hit. Everything's quite pushable from here. So I totally agree with you, Wolf. I think that Alive is going to be happy with these spawns.
Can bounce between the 3rd base and the main as well.
Yeah.
In fact, Rogue should, with enough advance notice, probably think about taking the base that you would often take as your 4th as his 3rd because it's further away. I think that's the smart choice here. You know, a lot of people think differently. Like, a lot of Zergs have their own way they would like to expand. Some people like to take the harder expand first, so that the 4th is easier. When the Terran's push is coming later, that's a little bit stronger. Some people like to have the more secure 3rd base just so they can have 3 bases. It really depends on what style of player you are. We'll see what Rogue wants to do here. But like you said, I think that the kind of the cheesing, the roach pushes, that's not something you can keep doing.
Well, that's the dilemma. I think you can use that build that Rogue, that Rogue used back there to win. You can do that and probably win a game against anybody, but can you get out of a Codes group that's all Terrans? I am not sure that is going to be as easy or as doable.
Well, what he has going for him, I guess, in a way is, he actually gets a kill there. That's pretty unique. Like 1 out of 30 games that happens. I think that if he loses here, obviously he faces Ryung. I think right now Alive is the higher caliber TVZ player, so he might have another chance. And maybe he can, if he can survive and then go into that final match. I'm just assuming he loses the series, right? Just putting that as a what-if scenario. Then I guess maybe in the final series he could bring back a roach push like that because the players may have forgotten about that by that point.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
I'm just kind of like theory crafting a little bit, right? I mean, it's definitely possible that he could do that.
I totally don't blame you for doing that. I mean, it's tricky, right? Like, how do you? Because I think he's going to have to at least win a couple games straight up.
Wow.
Like a cheese build and pulling it off is definitely necessary, especially in best of 5s and best of 7s. But
and
you know
groups
what?
as well.
To get out of a group, yeah. I mean, there's enough games here, especially when you have only one matchup you got to play. And in case you guys are wondering, we do allow the players to watch these games. Like, so the 2 guys who are not playing right now can watch this and farm information from it. So that's kind of an interesting scenario here for Rogue, who only has Terrans in this group.
Yeah, you always want to have some pocket strategies, especially when you're playing only one matchup.
This is why we saw, so to bring a little bit of history into this, I believe it was the end of the first year of the GSL when we started about 6 years ago. Squirtle was in a group with, he was Protoss. Squirtle was in a group with 3 Terrans, and he had a build that he'd open up with, and it looked like he was doing the same thing every time, and then he had like 6 different build orders that he went with from that.
Yeah.
And Artosis was giving him a lot of praise, and deservedly so, because the other players were like, obviously all watching the game thinking, okay, I've already seen him do this, and he did something different each time and managed to get out.
Speaking of doing things differently, this is not very different from what we saw in game number 1. Rogue actually is somewhat limiting his build pool in this first series.
Well,
going for the same build he did in number 1, going for the double link drop. This time it's not going to be scouted, though.
Yeah, that's the big difference. Is last time it was spotted by the Viking. Now he's going to see this coming. Does he have enough lings back at home?
That's the question, because while he's doing this, all these lings will not be able to defend.
Does he have a Baneling's Nest, by the way?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. But he has a lot of queens. I think the queens should help him defend this.
Okay, let's see how much damage he can actually do here.
He needs to go with those lings. Okay, here we go. He needs to target medevacs with the queens. And so far, he's doing a decent job of that and forces the lift. So many SCVs going down. This is a much more successful drop here for Rogue than what we saw in the first game. Does that SCV damage, defends the drop.
It's kind of interesting, though. I mean, we saw he got a Baneling's Nest last time. I feel like if he had actually just made 2 Banelings when he's doing, you see what I'm saying?
No, yeah, definitely would have gotten the bigger SCV damage,
You can
right?
see when the Lings are out, even if they start to kill the SCVs, even with just a little bit of Marines and a medevac and the SCVs fighting, you don't get that. I mean, it's a lot of kills, okay? I shouldn't disparage it, but it's not so many that it's the end of the game. You know,
he's relying on queens for the vents. I'm starting to understand this playstyle. He's relying for, okay, this is not enough. This is throwing out too slowly, trickling out.
Ouch.
That Widowmine hit really good, but I think what he's trying to do is get such a tempo advantage of these drops. He just keeps dropping until he does critical damage while relying only on queens and rallied Zerglies to defend because the queens got buffed.
I think you're totally correct. I think that's exactly what he's at least trying to do here.
But he's failing, and the second drop did less damage than the first.
I'm wondering how well this works out in practice because it doesn't seem to me like it's
Alive's not
that.
phased by this, like, you know.
I doubt this is what Alive practiced for at home, but he's kind of the army comes in and he holds it off, and I mean just seems to be fine.
I mean, the players he's probably practicing this against are Cure and Maru, right? Who would probably defend this even easier than Alive. So like
see, this is what confuses me.
Yeah,
is
I'm
if
not
he's
really
against Terrans
sure.
that are this good. I don't know if it's like in practice he just loses his games,
Yeah.
and therefore is always discouraged because the Terrans and Jin Air are so good that he doesn't feel like he has a strat that can actually work.
Yeah, I feel like this is probably a build that was formed on the ladder, if I had to guess, you know? It just gives me that impression. Like, he's doing this against, like, barcodes in GM, but against Alive here. Alive didn't even expect this. It's not like this is even a common thing. So he's probably like, what?
Yeah.
I just pull my SCVs and put a Widowmine there, and this isn't a good idea.
And he's getting the Baneling's Nest now, but yeah, I mean, I'm kind of on that same page where I see the drops. That's cool that he's doing it, but it's not like it's rocking the other player. You know what I'm saying?
And when you look at the supplies right now, a lot of people are probably watching and say, well, I mean, he's ahead in supply. He has more workers.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have, like, Baneling speed's coming up now, but Alive has a large army with +1/+1, with stim now, combat shields, and he has, with these positions, a big pushing power potential. And as in the first game, I wonder if, as you said, I think you said it really well, is Alive overdropping?